My brother's fiancé tried to erase my daughter from the family, but the entire clan turned on her in one night. Family is supposed to be about love, loyalty, and protection. But sometimes, it takes a single spark to expose who's really standing with you and who's ready to shove you out. For me, that spark came in the form of a text message on the night of my brother's engagement party, an event that should have been about celebration, but instead became a war over what the word family really means. I'm a single dad. My daughter, Sophie, is 11 years old. She's not biologically mine. I adopted her when she was 3 after her mother, my late best friend, passed away. Since then, Sophie has been the heartbeat of my life. She's sweet, whip-smart, a little shy, but she lights up when she's around people she trusts. My parents, my cousins, my aunts and uncles, they've embraced her completely. To them, she's ours, no asterisk, no footnote. But apparently, my brother's fiancée, let's call her Melissa, saw things differently. A week before the party, she sent me a message that made my stomach drop. Hey, just so you know, we'd prefer if you didn't bring Sophie to the engagement dinner. This night is for family only. I stared at my phone in disbelief. Sophie had already picked out her outfit, a sparkly dress she insisted on saving from last Christmas, and a handmade card she spent hours decorating for her soon-to-be uncle. She was so excited. And here was this woman, who'd been part of our lives for barely 18 months, trying to exile her. I replied, Sophie has family. Her response was colder than winter air. She's not blood. This is a private event, and we don't want to make things awkward. I hope you understand. No, I didn't understand. I didn't want to blow things up before the dinner, but I also couldn't bear to break Sophie's heart. So I kept quiet. I dressed her up that night, watched her beam at herself in the mirror, and told her she looked like a princess. On the drive over, I kept rehearsing what I'd say if Melissa tried to cause a scene. The dinner started out fine. Laughter, toasts, glasses clinking. Sophie sat between my mom and my aunt, chatting nervously but happily. For a moment, I thought maybe Melissa would let it slide. Then dessert came out. And so did Melissa's claws. She stood up, glass in hand, and announced, Before we close out tonight, I just want to thank everyone who came, our real family, for supporting us. She let her eyes drift across the table before landing squarely on Sophie. Then she added, And I hope moving forward, we can keep these gatherings streamlined. You know, immediate relatives only. The room went silent. Sophie's fork clattered against her plate. My mom's face went pale, my dad's jaw tightened. I could feel the heat rising in my chest, but before I could speak, my uncle slammed his hand on the table. Excuse me? He said. Did you just imply that this child, he pointed at Sophie, who was on the verge of tears, isn't part of our family? Melissa blinked, clearly not expecting pushback. I'm not trying to be offensive, I just think we should keep things traditional. Blood relatives. It keeps things simple. That's when my mom stood up. She's a quiet woman, the kind who only raises her voice when the ground is really shaking. But her words cut sharper than knives. Melissa, she said, let me make this absolutely clear. That little girl is my granddaughter. I don't care what your definition of family is. If you can't accept her, then you don't belong here. The floodgates opened. My cousins chimed in. My aunt reminded Melissa of the Christmas when Sophie passed out handmade gifts for everyone at the table. My dad said flat out, If Sophie's not welcome, neither are we. Even my brother, who had been sitting frozen beside his fiancée, finally found his voice. Melissa, what the hell is wrong with you? You don't get to erase my niece. If you think this is negotiable, maybe you don't know me as well as you thought. By then, Melissa's face was red with fury and humiliation. She tried to backpedal, mumbling about misunderstandings and not meaning it like that. But it was too late. The damage was done. Sophie, meanwhile, was sitting in stunned silence. My mom pulled her close, kissed her forehead, and whispered, Don't you dare listen to her, baby. You're ours. Always. That's when Sophie did something that broke me. She stood up, walked around the table with her little card in hand, and gave it to my brother. "Congratulations, uncle," she said softly. "I made this for you." The entire room melted. My brother hugged her tight and whispered something in her ear that made her smile again. "But Melissa?" She grabbed her purse, muttered something about needing air, and stormed out. She never came back that night. In the days after, she tried to spin the story, telling people she was misunderstood and attacked by my family. But word spread fast. 32 people had been at that table, and 32 people knew the truth. One by one, relatives started calling my brother, saying they couldn't support a marriage to someone who tried to exile an 11-year-old. By the end of the week, Melissa was gone. Engagement off. Relationship over. My brother called me late one night after it all fell apart. His voice was thick with regret. "I should have seen it sooner," he said. "Anyone who can't love Sophie doesn't deserve to be part of this family." I didn't know what to say. Part of me felt guilty for being the spark that ended his relationship, but another part of me knew this wasn't my fault, it was Melissa's. Sophie doesn't know the full story. To her, it was just a weird night where some grown-ups got loud, and one of them left early. But she does know this. She's loved, fiercely and without condition. And maybe that's the only thing that really matters. I've been replaying that night in my head for weeks now. It still shakes me that someone could look at a child, an innocent kid who's done nothing but love, and decide she doesn't count. But it also reminds me of something stronger. When push comes to shove, real family shows up. Real family circles the wagons. Real family makes it crystal clear who belongs. And on that night, 32 voices spoke louder than one. Sophie belongs. Always has. Always will.